Your neighbor tells you about the unstable man in the cul-de-sac who claims to have been abducted by aliens. And then there's the woman in town who claims to see Bigfoot all the time. Your boss, who you greatly admire, confides in you that he has started speaking with his wife daily when he gets home from work. She died 8 years ago. It's hard to believe this stuff, and you write these stories off as overactive imaginations. Are these people seeking attention, or are they a bit unstable? No matter what you think, if you're like me, you walk away wondering, what if that was true? The What If It's True podcast features stories by ordinary people like you and me. Something has happened to them, something so strange they are in agony unless they tell others. My name is Cameron Buckner, and the What If It's True podcast is available at whatifitstruepodcast.com and on all available podcast apps.
Welcome to Beast TV. What was that? You better get a fresh dip and buckle up. Welcome to Beast TV. Larry, this is our 108th podcast.
That's unbelievable.
It's absolutely unbelievable. But we want to welcome everyone that's watching, and we especially want to welcome everyone that has came into our chat room. If you've never watched us live, then you are missing the great conversations and the great people that are in the chat room. And if you're just lurking, jump in and say something, because they will welcome y'all with open arms. Larry, we get to talk to a couple of researchers that do a little tracking, and that's something that both me and you are interested in and have tried to educate ourselves on. So I'm just going to go ahead and introduce our guest. They are Tim and Waynette Turner. Welcome, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Yep. Hi. Hi, everybody. Everybody in chat. Hey.
We're tickled that you're with us, because we know that we're going to talk about a lot of subjects that Larry and I are interested in. But before we get too deep into all of this, Tim, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. I grew up in Florida. I went into the military. I was in the Army for a couple of years, right out of high school. And I do cabinet work, carpentry work, build cabinets, install them, stuff like that. Any kind of carpentry work I can pretty much do. Just about anything to a house I've learned how to do. I've roofed my own house, do plumbing, all kinds of different stuff. So mostly carpentry work done. I've done that. I've been hunting all my life, ever since I was a little kid. My dad started me hunting with him when I was a little kid. Yeah.
Waynette, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I was born and raised in Florida as well, and still live in the same area, actually. And I grew up fishing and camping, love it. And then when I met Tim, found out he hunted and fished. we have been married for over 32 years. And when I met him, found out him and his dad loved hunting and fishing, and I would go with them. I don't hunt, but I love to fish, and I love the outdoors. And my hobbies are like crossword puzzles, paint by numbers, craft, I guess you could say, so.
Uh-oh.
Sorry about that.
Bark at the neighbors.
Yeah, they're barking at the neighbors. I just heard the door shut.
So what sparked y'all's interest in Bigfoot or the skunk ape or whatever you want to call it down in Florida?
Clyde, behave.
Well,
Go
I'll
ahead.
go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Me, I have always believed they exist since I was like 13, because of an experience that we had. We lived in a mobile home. It was one of the long mobile homes, with the 3-bedroom, 2 baths. And me and my mom and my sister were up late one night, like playing games or something. We played games and stuff all the time. And one of us, I don't remember which one, walked down the hall or something, and we heard felt some heavy footsteps. Whatever it was heavy. And we're like, what is that? And then we would go to the other end of the trailer, and it would, whatever it was, boom. I mean, it jarred the trailer. And that went on. It didn't go on for a long time. And then we heard the back doorknob jiggle. And that's when my mom got the shotgun just in case. But then after that, it quit, But it was something heavy walking the length of the trailer back and forth.
Yeah.
So
That goes good with a Friday the 13th movie.
yeah.
Yeah, it sure does.
Tim, what about you? What got you interested in Bigfoot?
I want to add too, right around that time, she had 2 brothers and one of their family friends. They had an incident with it, and they actually saw it. Where they would drive around the orange grove. They were young. They would drive around the orange grove just for fun, right next to their house. And one of them actually attacked the car and was bouncing the back of the car up and down.
Wow.
And the other brother, the second brother, he actually saw it. The orange trees were like around 6 foot tall, and he saw it over top of the orange trees. He said he could see its face, its head pretty good. But he still remembers that to this day, and that was back in the 1970s when they were, like she said, when she was around 13 or so. Yeah. But myself, I've been hunting ever since I was a kid. Hunting with my dad, and then hunting after I got out of the military, hunting with buddies, and even going out hunting by myself a lot. And very experienced in the woods, and I've always been interested in Bigfoot, and there was so many sightings and stuff and people saying they were seeing them that I knew it had to be real. And so it's been almost 2 years ago I decided to go ahead and use my experience and my skills to try to get out there and find them and find the evidence and see if they were really there. And it's been almost 2 years now that I've been going out there looking, and I've got all kinds of pictures of footprints, casts. I've got all kinds of hairs that I've been finding from them that I'm pretty sure is the Sasquatch or the Florida skunk ape. They look just like human hairs under the microscope, but they're a lot thicker. Like looking at them with your eyes, they're a lot thicker. And I'm finding them on barbed wire fences where they're crossing the fence, and I'm finding them on all the strands of wire, not just the bottom strand or like a top strand where a deer would jump over, but I'm finding them on all the strands of wire. So I've been finding all kinds of evidence. I've got all kinds of stuff on audio now. I've got howls. I've got whistles. I've got like a baby scream that we got recently. So I've got all kinds of stuff on audio. So within 2 years, I've got all kinds of evidence telling me that they're real. Plus some stuff that I'm starting to see now too. I've learned how to, what I believe I learned how to film them, catch them on film watching us. And I'm starting to see a lot of that now too. But that was my biggest thing, was always wanting to know the truth and find out the truth. And now that's pretty much what I do on my YouTube channel. I share what I'm finding. I share what I do, our experiences. We share our fishing. We do fishing videos and stuff like that, saltwater fishing. So just all kinds of stuff like that. I was doing a lot of motorcycle rides and filming some of that. So a lot of our experiences with stuff like that we just do here in Florida. Yeah. So not just Bigfoot. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. When you first decided that you wanted to find out more about these critters, what kind of resources did you go to and help that you got?
The main thing I did, I got on YouTube and started searching for people around Central Florida that were trying to find people that were actually showing them, to see if they would show them or tell about where they're at, what kind of areas they're in. So I started learning how to look around rivers, around camp areas, primitive camp areas. And that got me to go into some of these places like that, camp areas that were near rivers, stuff like that, and the cypress swamps. So I started learning where to look, was the main thing that got me going. Some of the people like Mark Zaski, I was learning some of the things that he was looking at, some of the places he was going down in South Florida, and just started kind of doing that on my own, looking at Google Maps and some of my hunting maps, the hunting areas that I go to, and started finding the areas to go look for them at.
How quickly did you have success since you just started?
About my third trip hiking, I started finding footprints. So I went to like within several miles distance, probably. I went to one area one weekend and was hiking, and then I went to another area the next weekend, and then like the third weekend, I found footprints. Yeah.
So what do you think led you to that success? What was the key to the success you had early on?
Part of it was learning, because I do a lot of tracking, as far as I'm always looking at animal tracks, being a hunter. So I've always looked at animal tracks, reading the ground, learning what animals are around me. It helps you stay aware of your situation and where you're at. You know what kind of animals are around you. That was the main thing that got me going there, was finding the footprints then, because I searching the ground and reading the ground good.
Yeah. Do you find it's easier to find tracks in the swampy areas or more difficult?
I'd say easier. I think they hang around the swamp areas a lot more than they do out in the open, or like out in the pines. And I've learned how to look in the leaves and what to look for as far as the leaves being disturbed. Sometimes you can find a pretty good footprint in the leaves, and then other times you're just finding areas that have been disturbed, and you can follow them. They'll be within like 42, 48 inches apart, something like that, and you can kind of follow through the leaves and see where they're traveling, which direction they're going. I've also been learning by doing that. I've been finding areas where I've been finding like 6-inch footprints, 9-inch footprints.
Yeah.
And not even 2 years. It's not even been 2 years yet. And now they've grown to 11 inches to 13-inch footprints. They're staying in the same areas where they're growing within not even 2 years. They're already growing from like 6 and 9-inch to 11 and 13-inch footprints. So they're growing. Yeah.
That's cool. Mark, my bad. I may have jumped the gun on the questions. I was curious
No.
about the swamp, because you know how much I avoid swamps. I don't like them.
It seems like every time we go into swamps, we run into pit vipers, don't it?
That's one good thing about tracking, though. It trains your eyes for little details. So you see the snakes when you get close to the snakes, you see them quicker.
Yeah.
You're not just stepping on them.
It's more the mosquitoes in my ear that drive me nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, they're bad here right now because all the rain we've been having. Yeah.
Waynette, why don't you tell us how you have supported Tim in this and what pieces of the puzzle that you have brought to the table?
Well, like I said, when we started doing this, I had already told Tim about that experience I talked about in the trailer. But for one thing, I love, getting outdoors in nature, just getting out there, looking at the birds and the trees. But when we go out there, I have always supported him because I'm into it as well. And so when we go out, we're looking for signs or whatever. And if I see something, if I see something that looks maybe like a footprint, I'll say, Tim, come here, look at this. What do you think? He'll say, yeah, that looks like a footprint, or nah, I think that's hog rooting. And I have learned a lot from Tim, though, as far as tracking ever since I have known him, because like I said, he's a hunter. So when we go out there, I can tell what a bobcat track looks like now, a deer track, a raccoon, So no, we're just in this together. So we just support each other and just bring whatever we see or find to the table, So.
Yeah.
Tim, whenever you find a track, what is the next step that you do to find the next track?
All right. What I do is, because I had ever since I started finding them, I've been actually pulling out a tape measure and measuring them. I've been taking pictures of myself, the measurements, and pictures and video of measuring them. And what I usually I'll take all my stuff off, my backpack off, and I'll stop right there, and I'll back up. I'll look for the track before that one first, and I'll like backtrack. I'll go back and look for a track or a couple tracks, and then I'll come back to the first track that I found, and then I'll move forward, and I'll look for the next track, and I'll look for the next 3 or 4 tracks, doing that way. And I'll try to mark them. Like, I'll leave my backpack beside one. I'll set my own camera down with the tripod beside one. I can use a stick. I can use sticks put around them. I've got like some green fluorescent tape, stuff like that you can put down and mark them, so you're not going back and stepping on them, or if there are other people in the group with you, they're not stepping on them. But that's the main thing. I'll backtrack and look for more tracks, look for disturbances, broken grass, anything like that, turned up leaves where they're showing a different color than the normal leaves around you. And then I come back to the first track, and then I go forward and look for more. I look for broken branches about 3 to 4 foot tall, any kind of tracks, any like broken grass. You can tell sometimes where something's walked on an animal trail or has walked in a grassy trail, and it's crushing the grass. All right.
What's the most significant thing you've learned from tracking one?
I would say probably that they stay in the same areas a lot, and sometimes they're right there in the area watching you. When you're tracking and you're finding them in the area, a lot of times they're right there watching you.
Yeah. So you think it'd be kind of difficult to actually track one down?
Here in the swamps of Florida, it would be, because I like to here in the swamps is you can't really track an animal like trailing it. You can't really trail it a long distance, because you're going to get in swamps. You're going to get in places where they can get down and crawl through little tunnels and stuff, and in the brush and stuff, or in the water. where it's too dangerous for us to go up in because you're going to have alligators and snakes,
Right.
stuff like that. So it's kind of dangerous to try to do that here. If you're out more in open areas like up around Citrus County, there's places like that where you could actually track one or trail it, what I call trailing it. You could trail it for a pretty good ways probably. But, my experience is mostly just tracking close around the swamps.
Well, I hope I'm not baiting you with this question. But Larry and I have a couple of research partners, Kane Michael and Matthias Tipton, and they have taught us so much
Mm-hmm.
about tracking.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I almost hate to put it this way, but one thing that we learned is they travel in straight lines, even though they will turn at certain points and make a circle. Have you found any common denominators of how the skunk apes travel their corridors down in Florida?
I found areas too like that, like you're saying, where they might have to swerve a little here and there but they pretty much stay in a straight line. And I think also some of the tree structures that we find are laying down, pointing in certain directions that they use to travel as well. I'm not sure if that answered your question or not, but
It did.
okay.
It did.
Okay.
Tell us what a good source is for improving your tracking skills.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of good sources out there. There's a lot of people on YouTube that teach tracking animal tracks and also tracking humans. There's a lot of good ones out there on YouTube. Nature Reliance, primitive skills. There's a lot more. There's a lot of them out there. I also use stuff like this on animal tracks. It tells you a lot of the different animal tracks. So I use stuff like that. Some things I use too, like my Sasquatch guide with the footprints and stuff. So it tells you a lot about the footprints and the mid-tarsal breaks. So I use this. It teaches you about the step and the stride, like the step being from like the left heel to the right heel, the stride being like from the left heel to the left heel. A lot of stuff like that. That's the main thing. There is there's a lot of people on YouTube that teach tracking.
Yeah, that's a great source, and I've got mine here. A friend of mine gave me a couple of weeks ago, and but I think any time that you can educate yourself and try to improve and try to be open-minded and learning.
Mm-hmm.
Waynette, what have you learned from watching Tim track out in the field as far as sitting back and being an observer and trying to soak up his mindset and his skills?
Well, just pretty much following him and watching what he does, because I feel like that he is good at what he does. For instance, like he's very quiet when he walks through the woods. He doesn't step on branches. He'll step over them. And then when, like I said, when you come up on a spot where you think there is prints and you want to look at them, you don't want to, want to be walking all over them and everything. Tim is just, he's, as far as that, he's a good follower. I mean, I have just learned a lot from him, just watching what he does. I don't know, I don't know, that was kind of hard to answer, but I just feel like I said, I've learned a lot from him as far as you know, animal tracks or, you know, and just that I don't know. I just follow him and just I just follow him and I just follow his lead because I feel like he's good at what he does.
Well, Waynette, watch this. We're going to put Tim on the spot.
Oh my God.
Tim, what have you learned from
right
Waynette?
there? I'm like, you're going the wrong way.
Well, I can tell you one thing is I've learned, not just from her, but from the other people too that's been going out with us, is to stop and listen to what they're saying. If she's seen a track or if she's seen some kind of tree structure or anything like that, to go ahead and stop and look at it.
Yeah. Yes.
Don't brush it off and think it's nothing. Just go ahead and stop and look at what she's seeing, look at her perspective. That's the main thing I've learned. Yeah.
That's what Mark and I say all the time. There's different levels of knowledge and different skills, and everybody brings some skill to the woods, no matter what your experience level is.
Yes.
So
everybody's bringing their own talents. Yeah, we can all learn from each other.
Yes.
Going into the woods and looking for evidence, it's just way more complicated than looking for something as obvious as X's and structures and tree bows. Tim, tell us about the other signs besides tracks and footprints that you are looking for.
Yeah, there's a lot more stuff to look for too. You want to look for any kind of leaves, or even in rocky areas, look for rocks that are disturbed and turned over, where the dark parts of it that were on the ground are flipped up now and facing upwards. Any kind of grass or weeds, any kind of brush like that's been stepped on and crushed, or even just stepped on and it's not quite coming back up yet. Because grass will come back up, but it won't come back up right away. Stuff like that. Any kind of little small limbs where something might be walking through and just grabbing it and breaking it with their fingers or the hands. Because like man tracking, anything from about 3 foot or taller is usually a human. So anything like that. Oh, another thing too, looking at like down trees, because you'll see sometimes where you got a tree laying on the ground or log, you can see where animals are crossing it and they'll rub their bellies on it. You can tell the top of it, like the moss will be rubbed off of it. Sometimes you can watch for, there'll be mushrooms on top of the trees like that too. Sometimes you can see where something's walked on them and crushed the mushrooms.
That's
Also,
interesting. Go ahead, Waynette.
I was just going to say that 3 different times, and he has taught me this. Let me throw this in there. 3 different times when we've been out, he's like leading the way, and he's like, "Whoa!" And 3 different times he has saw a water moccasin, and it's like, everybody turn the other way. He's always the first one to spot that moccasin. So I look for that. I mean, when we're out there, especially where it's swampy, I know they don't have to be swampy to see a moccasin, but I am looking for that snake as well now, So he 3 different times he has done that.
Well, that's good. Hopefully he'll keep seeing them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah, these pictures here, a lot of these are the footprints. So I've been finding tree structures. Like that one there was a knot sticking out of the tree. It looked like a head of an animal and then the tail sticking out the other end.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
When you go out in the field and your niche is tracking, what tools do you take to help aid you in tracking?
Yep. I got quite a few different things I use. Flashlight, a flashlight, or even a phone. Your phone, you can look down at the footprints, and the flashlight's pretty much the same thing as using the sun or the shadows. And if you move around a little bit, get different angles at the footprints, or the tracks or the animal tracks, you can see them better in certain angles because of the light. The phone, a lot of people have lights on their phones. That works too. Also using the phone just to take a picture of it, and sometimes looking at it with the phone, the toe imprints will stand out better than just seeing it with your eyes too. I use a lot of different stuff like that. I carry a tape measure so I can measure. Always measure the like stop and measure them and record the measurements. So I use a lot of different tools like that. And actually, some of the other tools I use are maps. And you have Google Maps on the phone, and you can actually switch over to satellite view, which is showing you the trails and the trees and all that. And I use a lot of different tools like that too.
Let's see. Mark Ledford has a good question. And he asked, do y'all use dogs, guns, or drones while tracking?
I used to use dogs and guns a long time ago when I was hunting a lot. And sometimes we would hunt with guns. Sometimes we would just hunt with a knife. A lot of times we were hunting wild hogs, and you just use a dog and a knife. And we've actually tracked animals with hounds, like with beagles or with blue tick hounds. I loved using the blue tick hounds too with the wild hogs because they're real gritty. The blue tick hounds are gritty, and they'll actually stand and fight the hogs. But I don't do it out here hunting now. I mean, hunting Sasquatch or researching, I don't use anything like that. I do carry a gun on me. I always carry a gun. But that's more for bad people. If you run across somebody running from the law, something like that. Because I don't usually even have to shoot water moccasins, anything like that. I'll see them in time to move everybody away from them, move them around them.
Yeah.
This is where I was finding hairs. I try to collect everything I can forensically. So I use gloves and put them in a paper envelope. I do that with my candy bar wrappers too. I'll leave gifts. I'll leave candy bar wrappers. And I'm finding the wrappers are torn open, no teeth marks. So I'm picking them up and collecting them forensically as well. Hopefully to have the DNA tested on them, the eDNA.
So you're not finding teeth marks.
Yeah, no teeth marks.
Wrappers.
Yeah.
So that kind of boils it down to either a raccoon or this critter we're searching for.
Yep.
Because you kind of got to have hands and thumbs.
Yeah, hands and thumbs. Yeah, to rip them open. Yeah.
Now, I gotta say, if I found a Snickers laying on a stump in the woods, I'd take it.
And there would probably be teeth marks.
I'm just saying. I'm not one to pass up a Snickers bar.
I'm surprised he can do that because that's his favorite candy bar.
Yeah, so it's really a gift when I'm leaving them Snickers.
Yeah. And Tim, do you have anybody that you send the DNA evidence to yet, or
I don't yet.
Okay.
And I'm actually we hadn't quite been in the ISRT group yet for a year yet. You had David Sidoti on a couple weeks ago, so we're in his group, and I'm hoping that maybe through him and our group there that we'll come across somebody that we can get them tested. Because I know it's really expensive right now. It's really expensive to do. Yeah.
That's the rough part about collecting the DNA is it's hard to find anybody that will test it or do anything with it without having a $10,000 bill, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. And one friend of mine, he had found some scat, and it looked a lot like human scat, but it had hairs in it. It had a lot of the hairs in it, like from a wild hog.
Yeah.
And we're pretty sure it was from a juvenile because it was about the size it would be from a juvenile. And he actually gave it to Stacy Brown Jr. He said that he could get it tested, so he gave it to him. And so we're waiting to hear back from him.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good friend to have down there. Stacy has a lot of connections.
Yep. He's went out with me one time too with my friend Mike Aguilar, and he's went out with us and me and David, and I also got to meet Stacy at the Bigfoot conference here too, and talked to him a little bit too there. Yeah.
Where's a good place, or how do you go about finding a spot where you may have success in finding tracks?
Looking around rivers, especially if there's cypress swamps around them, close to the river. A lot of them here in Florida have the cypress trees and cypress swamps along the rivers, and that produces cooler areas. They're going to stay in the cooler areas like that, so that's good areas to look for. Also around camping areas and primitive camp areas that are close to these rivers and swamps. Those are all really good areas. Following some of the game trails, they'll follow the food sources. They'll follow the deer and the hogs. I look in hog rooting a lot when I'm around hog rooting, especially fresh hog rooting. Look in there a lot too along that and look for footprints. I've found footprints in there a few times. I've got one spot that I believe we had one watching us one time from a makeshift hunting blind, and it was all around. There was hog rooting all around in there, so I figure they're watching the hogs. And I actually went up in there to do a comparison video, and when I was walking up in there to where it had been watching us, I found a deer skull laying there. Actually, it's this one up here behind me. Mm-hmm. It was laying right there where the thing was standing there watching us. Yeah. And I took it that as a gift. And then I found, I feel like I've been gifted that, and I feel like I've been gifted a couple more skulls also since then.
What are you doing there in the video?
This here, we're doing tests to try to tell if that's actually hairs or not, because I was finding some black vine moss.
Yeah.
It's actually like a lichen. So we're testing it, and we're trying to tell if it's actually hairs. We're burning it, see if it burns or if it singes.
How it smells.
Yeah. No, I'm using the paper behind it so you can actually see the hair or see the moss.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what the paper's for. So you can
I remember this. It did not smell. You know how like burning hair smells? That did not smell like that. So.
Now, when y'all go out, Waynette, do you camp out overnight, or do y'all just go out on day and night hikes?
Well, mainly right now we're just going on day hikes. We attempted to go out one night for a while, and we was out there maybe 30 minutes or so, and it started thundering and lightning. We had to leave, but we are fixing to start doing that. I'm sure, camping out at different places, but right now it's mainly just the day thing. Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Tim, on camping out in the swamps? Like, do you have like a strategy? Like, well, we can kind of car camp and set up a tent, or we could go deeper into the swamps and put up hammocks, or have you thought about that?
Yeah, I have. I've been thinking about there's a couple of primitive camp areas that we can go to with the tent and sleep in the tents, and we can hang out for a good part of the night with audio recorders and some night vision cameras, and especially try to get something on audio recorder, because I'm pretty sure being out there during the night, because it's up in there pretty good ways to get to the primitive camp areas, I'm pretty sure that we'll get stuff on audio at least. This is places too where I'm finding footprints and I'm finding hairs, tree structures, stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure that we'll be able to get some stuff on audio at least, if nothing else. Yeah. And we're actually planning on doing a full moon hike here coming up too.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the month here in a couple more weeks. Go out during the full moon. And I wanted to do it during the full moon first, so that way our group, they can see the trail pretty good. Everybody be able to see the trail pretty good and stay safe before we start doing it in total darkness.
Yeah, that helps to make sure you don't stumble across an alligator.
Yep. Yeah, because we have black bears out here, bobcats. There's panthers in a few places. Yeah, snakes, alligators.
In the dark.
So whenever y'all first got into this, what were y'all's thoughts on what a skunk ape was, and had your thought on that changed any?
Yeah, for me, I was thinking at first that it was a flesh and blood animal. I know, like we learned from the TV shows and movies, that they're like an ape-like creature, and that was my first thoughts. But now my mindset's changed on that a lot because of the evidence I'm finding. I believe they're a type of human, and I believe there's more going on too than because I believe they're super fast. I believe they're using some kind of energy. Like here, you can see that orb. I'm finding orbs. I'm getting orbs on game cameras. I've got one where I'm pretty sure it's an orb carrying a deer away. So I'm getting a lot of stuff like that. So I've changed my mind on that to where I believe that they're more of a type of human, some type of human with but different than us, and some kind of different powers or different energy. There's something going on there where there's some kind of energy that they're using.
What are your thoughts on that, Annette?
I think they are probably more human. I think they're smart. I sense that. I think they're very good at hiding and just sitting back and watching us when we're out there looking for them. So yeah, I think they are more human than a beast. Yes.
Let's see. Mark Ledford has another question, and he asked, have y'all been to the Okefenokee Swamp in southeast Georgia? Go ahead and say it, Larry.
You butchered it.
Okefenokee. It's called Okefenokee Swamp. I've heard of it a lot. I've never been to it. I've only researched here in Florida, and all my hunting and stuff has all been here in Florida too. Yeah, I was in the military in Germany. I did a lot of hiking in Germany too when I was in the military. I did a lot of me and a friend of mine. We would go on the weekends and get on a train and go to a small town where they had some cliffs or a little bit of mountain areas, and we'd go out there and we'd do a little bit of climbing, and then we'd do a lot of rappelling. We'd do a lot of rappelling down. So I did a lot of hiking over there too, stuff like that. We slept in a cave over there one night. We rappelled down to a cave and slept in it. Woke up with snow covering us.
Wow.
And then got up in the morning and rappelled on down, and then went back to the little town and ate breakfast, and then got on a train and went back to where we were based at.
Now, you touched on a little bit of this at the beginning of the show, but why don't you just tell us what got you into research?
Yeah, mainly wanting to know the truth, wanting to know if they were real, because I never really knew for sure. Like say with hunting, some hunters they'll have them just walk right out in front of them, and a lot of times it scares them. They don't expect it. They don't believe in them. All of a sudden, one walks out in front of you. I had heard stuff like that, but I had never actually seen one myself. Never heard one moving around me. At least I didn't think so. But now that I've learned about them a lot. Back in 1997, I was hunting with a dog. I was hunting with one of my buddies, and we had 3 dogs. And my hunting dog went up in a really thick area beside the river, and there was a loud growl. It was like a tiger growl. It was so loud, it was just like a tiger, and everything was totally silent. Once it did that, everything went totally silent. It had a really big, huge lung capacity, and I thought right away, damn, my dog's dead. Something just killed it. And I was trying to figure out what kind of animal had made that growl, because I knew all the animals here in Florida and around us. And I was like, a hog's not going to do that. There wasn't a wild hog. And I knew a bobcat, panther, stuff like that. They wasn't that loud. I was trying to figure out what it was. So my dog come out of there running a hog out, and we actually ended up killing the hog. So I'm pretty sure my dog went in there and messed up the Sasquatch or skunk apes hunt.
Yeah.
I think it was in there hunting the hogs, and we messed it up, and it growled at my dog. I think it growled at my dog because we didn't get hit with the infrasound. I think we'd got hit with the infrasound if it had been growling at us or directing it at us. Yeah. But I know now what it was. I know back then I didn't, because back then nobody thought about Bigfoot, or there wasn't no TV shows about Bigfoot really back then, nothing like that. But now I know what it was. Yeah.
That's an interesting statement, because a lot of hunters will say, I spend X amount of time in the woods and I've never had anything happen, never heard nothing, seen nothing, smelt nothing. Yep. But I've hunted, and up until I got interested in it and learned a lot more about it, I had a lot more things go on while I was sitting in a deer stand or traveling to a deer stand or turkey hunting that I would just rationalize in my own mind that it was something other than what it probably was.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
And most people do that. They try to make it something that they're aware of, or to make themselves feel better because it's dark and they're half mile back in the woods.
That's this picture here is Stacy Brown Jr.'s out there with us in this picture. Yeah. And that's my friend Mike and David Sidoti that was on the other night. This right here, I went in there with Mike and I made a comparison video for him. He's got a picture of about a 9-foot tall Bigfoot standing beside that tree that David's looking at. And you can see how tall David's about 6 foot tall there. You can see, and then in the video I made for Mike, or in his photo, you can see how tall the Bigfoot is. It's a good 3 foot taller than David was there. And this is some more collecting hairs here. This is up on a wire that's higher up too.
Let's see. We had a question, and I'm going to let Waynette answer it. How common is it to see gators?
It's not like they're there, but you don't see them all the time. About the only time that we have seen them when we go out when we go out in the swamp. But the only time we have seen them is when you come across a small pond, and we've actually fished at one of the ponds that we go research, and we went back there and actually did some fishing, and there'll be one gator out there. And that, I mean, it's not like that's the only time I have seen a gator is when we go to, if you'll come to a little pond that's out there and you'll see one, and it's only just one, but you don't just like walk up on them on a daily basis. So no, not a lot.
I know I worked in Louisiana for 3 months during a hurricane. Well, it was after the hurricane, but I would look at those canals and, think about how many gators I'd see. And during the day, you wouldn't hardly see anything at all, if any. But you go out there at night and you hit that canal with a spotlight, and there's just 50 to 100 red eyes everywhere.
Yep, it lights it up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, he knows about that.
Yeah.
At night, yes.
It's crazy. And you think, where are all these at during the day?
I know, right? They're not there during the day, but you go out there at night, you're going to see them.
Yep.
No doubt.
Okay, I have a question for both of you, and I guess I'll start with Waynette.
Okay.
Acquired knowledge of these creatures, for me, it provokes more questions and the motivation to get out and find the answers to those questions. What questions stand out in your mind that you are looking for the answers for?
Well, I mean, I guess one that a lot of people ask, how come you don't ever, come across any of bones that might be a Bigfoot or skunk ape? And I have never personally seen one. And they just how do they avoid? They're smart. How do they avoid not being seen? But you can find tracks and stuff and possibly hairs. How do they stay, hid so well? That's what I would ask,
Yeah.
Tim, what about you? What questions stand out in the forefront of your mind that you're looking for the answers for?
Yeah, for me now, it's just turning to why are we seeing them on video? Sometimes we're catching them on video, but we're not seeing them with our eyes. But the camera's picking them up. And to me, I'm wanting to know why. I'm wanting to know, is it some kind of vibration frequency they're using? Is it some kind of energy? That's the main thing for me. I'm wanting to learn about that and wondering why we're not being told about them, because the government's got to know about it. There's agencies that know about these things because from stuff you hear in the past. That's some of the main things for me, and trying to learn more about what they're eating, I think, and to see if we can communicate with them. I would like to try to communicate with them, and I've tried to start doing that. That's some of the main things for me that I'm thinking about now.
Okay. Bob has a good question. Have y'all found gator remain bones?
I haven't.
No, I haven't either. You hardly ever come across any alligator remains. The few skulls and stuff that we do find and bones is usually from birds.
Or a deer carcass or something
or deer
like
carcass.
that.
Yeah, we've been finding some deer stuff. One of those. Like the one area Waynette actually seen it first. There was a dead doe laying there, and all it was the bones. And there was no teeth marks, nothing on it, no tool marks, no teeth marks. We went back in there and looked at it again really good too. The rib bones are broken. They're broken off, no teeth marks at all on them. So there's no coyotes, no panthers, nothing like that been chewing on them, killing them. The spine, the neck spine, the skull, no marks at all on it. Yeah.
And actually, I saw the deer ribs, and I thought from it, I thought, look at that. I said, look at those dead palm fronds. It looks like
Like
a rib cage from a deer. So the closer we got, that's what it was, and it was the whole deer carcass laying there in one of our areas.
Other than tracking, how would you describe your methods of field research?
Trying to do everything scientific. is what I've been trying to do. From collecting the hairs, filming myself collecting the hairs with the gloves and putting it in the paper envelopes. The paper envelopes keep from like the moisture. Like if you put it in a plastic bag, the moisture damages the hairs. It'll grow like bacteria in it. Stuff like that. Filming myself and the measurements of the footprints. The measurements for the step and the stride. Just trying to do everything scientifically as possible. Like there, we were trying to do some tests to see if those were actually hairs or not. We were trying several different tests on it. Trying to pull on it and see if it breaks real easy or if it's got more strength to it like a hair does. Burning it to see if it burns like wood or organic, or if it actually singes like hairs singe, or smells really bad when you burn hairs, how they smell really bad. Trying to do everything scientific as we can like that.
Let's see. I got a couple of questions popping up. Waynette, have you met any pythons in your swamp? I know Larry was concerned a little bit about pythons when we were going to head down to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, no, and thank goodness. No.
I don't think they're in our area.
I really don't think they are. Not yet.
And I haven't run across any. I've come across rattlesnakes, water moccasins, other types of snakes, black snakes. Haven't run across any pythons yet. I've heard that they've made their way all the way up into Georgia.
Whoa.
We haven't seen
I don't think they're around here anywhere. I think we would already been coming across them.
Uh-huh.
I know sleeping in a hammock, you just think of the Jungle Book and that python or boa constrictor on there.
Okay, Sharkin asked, what is the best way you found to photograph them? Great question.
Yep. Okay, so what I've been doing, I use a GoPro on my chest, and a lot of times I'm using my phone. I have an old phone that I use, and I can take pictures and video on that, and I have an iPhone. I've been using an iPhone on a gimbal, and I also use a camcorder, and I use the camcorder a lot, but I've been getting them on all three. I have, in some of my videos, got some on the GoPro when they were really close to me, but the GoPro is more for just what's going on around us, especially when we're fishing or just when we're out here researching, and you can see everybody moving around or talking, just stuff like that. But on the iPhone, because you can zoom out a little bit with the iPhone. So I've actually got them holding my iPhone in one hand and my camcorder in the other, and moving, filming the same place. And I've got them on both right there doing that. But I get most of them on the camcorder, because the camcorder I can zoom way out. I'll hold the camcorder up and zoom way out, and I'll film the tree line. So as we're walking, I'll be filming the tree line, or I'll stand there and just slowly scan around, pan around a little bit to film. And also using it when we're walking out a trail or something, I'll point it behind me and film behind me with it zoomed way out. And that's the best way that I catch them.
Okay, Connor has a question. He wants you to talk a little bit about the mimic baby cry recording.
Or a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Connor was with us. Two of his friends, they came down. They stayed the night here at our house with us. We went to the Bigfoot conference, and then the next day after the Bigfoot conference, we all went out. They went out on an expedition with me. So we had a pretty nice sized group of people with us that day, and we had a lot going on.
Yeah.
Within a few minutes' time, we had a lot going on. One lady that was walking with us, she was ahead of me a little bit. She actually stepped on a nest of hornets, and they started chasing her. And one of them hit me, and two of them hit one of the other guys. but she had like 30 of them stinging her, and we were trying to get her away from them and get them off of her, trying to make sure she was okay. And at the same exact time, two of our other group, Waynette and Joey, that was with us, they found a hawk that was laying there alive that had his neck broken. And they were trying to call me over there. So we had a lot of big commotion going on. And I had set my camera down on the tripod, just set it down, and was trying to get out some Benadryl and some Benadryl cream for that girl. And while I was sitting there filming, we got this real loud, like baby cry, screaming like a baby screaming on the camcorder. It's on the camcorder. It's on my audio recorder. Our friend Tristan, he got it on his audio recorder. And I don't know if it was because of the commotion that we didn't hear it. None of us heard it. And it could have been because of all the commotion going on. But it's on the video camera. It's on my camcorder. It's on audio recorder. And Tristan got it on his audio recorder. And it's pretty loud. But also that same day, just a few minutes later, I got a whistle. Also, I got like a shrill whistle on there, and I've heard that before and got it on audio recorder, and I got that on the camera again in audio recorder, and then just shortly after that too, I heard another one when we were back in on the trail. I heard another whistle like that, and we were hearing a couple of knocks. So the baby cry sounded like a baby screaming, like a baby just being born. That's what it sounded like.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guarantee you, if I'd have got stung 30 times by a hornet, you'd have picked up me crying like a baby.
She did get stung 30 times, but she took some Benadryl. She went home and she let everybody know she was fine. That was crazy. That was a crazy morning.
I've got to where I'm allergic to wasps, so I don't even want to think about what a hornet would do.
Yeah.
It was on the ground.
Yeah, the nest was in the ground beside an oak tree, and she stepped on it. Yeah.
Okay.
But luckily, she carried stuff in her backpack too. She had Benadryl, and I carry Benadryl and Benadryl cream for stuff like that too.
Yeah, me too.
And I wanted to make sure she was safe and got her out of there too. And I kept in contact with her after she got home, make sure she was okay. So luckily, she wasn't allergic to them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I know Larry's had to take Benadryl before. Out in the field. That's nothing to play with if you're allergic.
It's scary whenever your lips and your tongue start tingling.
Yeah.
Okay, Ruger Ridge asks, Tim, what's your thoughts on the EVPs that have been caught?
Yeah, Ruger Ridge has caught some in a couple of my videos. It's like something saying something, like a little phrase a few different times, and he catches it on some of our friend Joey, Florida Lone Wolf. He's out with me too a lot, and he's filming at the same time. And Ruger Ridge is catching some of the stuff too on it. You'll hear like little phrases or something being said. And I'm not real familiar with the EVPs or the device that you use for them. And that's one thing too that I want to start learning more about is the device where we can use it while we're out there too, to try to hear stuff like that. So I don't know if that's like a ghost from the area. I know all of Central Florida here used to belong to the Indians, and we actually had become the reservation for the Seminole Indians at one time. So I know there's a lot of history here as far as Indians and the war between the Indians way back then, and so I know there's a lot of history here. So I don't know if some of it's paranormal or if that's like ghosts. I mean, I've heard a couple of things out there myself too when I've been out there hunting before, but there was nobody around, but yet I heard something. I heard people talking. So I know there's something going on.
Okay, here.
I've got a ghost box. It's only been used once, I'll say.
Let's see. Chris has a question, and I'm always interested in people's thoughts or experiences. So, Waynette, I'll start with you. Chris asked, any experiences with orbs or lights?
Yes, with the orbs. Like Tim has gotten those on his trail cams. The orbs where there's one where it actually covers up his trail cam. You know, he puts his Snickers bars out there and everything. You never see what takes it. But yes, orbs, we believe in the orbs. And I can't, the one where Tim will have to, I don't know, if the one where the orb, it looks like it's picking up a deer and moving it. I think that was when Tim was filming it or taking pictures. I can't remember. So Tim will have to answer that one. But yes, I believe there's orbs. And Tim can tell you more on that, though.
Tim, go ahead and
that was
enlighten us.
That was actually from my game camera. I've got 2 game cameras set up. I've got one that's sitting there being triggered. If something goes in front of it, it triggers it and it takes a video. And then I've got another one sitting back behind it that's taking pictures. Like every 2 minutes, it takes a picture. So it doesn't matter if something walks in front of it or not. It's taking a picture. It's not being triggered. So I got I was going through the footage one day after we had went out and got the swapped out the memory cards. And I'm looking and I see an orb go by. So I slowed it down and was looking more and actually taking some screenshots. And I was like, that looks like a deer. So as I got to looking more and kind of zoomed in a little bit, you can see this big round ball behind the deer. And it's like the deer was going backwards. So as I got to watching that, and then I got a video on it, I put it on video on my YouTube channel. It looks like the orb is carrying the deer away. But even without that, just say, okay, so even if you say, okay, that's just a deer, once it's gone back away, it goes like further away, there's a cone-shaped head pops up. You can see the whole head from the back. It's cone-shaped. You can see the whole head, the ears, everything. And it's got like a greenish tint to it, just like the surroundings. But I think that's pretty wild too, just to see that. But the whole head it's like it just stands up and it's watching that deer or that orb go by and go past.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is, yeah.
That is crazy. We want to thank the Ozark Kid for showing us some love.
Big John.
And John, I miss your Texas. John sends me texts from time to time. I'm just going to let you know I miss them. And we've got another
ones where you don't have clothes on.
Remember the hernia sticking out of his shirt, Larry?
Yeah.
He was proud of that, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
From the Philippines.
Yep. Hi, Ramil.
TMT asks, is there a pattern to their movement and travel routes? Areas of converge, whatever.
You got it right the first time.
Yeah. 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 I don't think they move a lot. I don't think they're like migrating. I think they stay in certain areas. And I think they move a little along the rivers. And I think areas, because like here in Central Florida where we're at, we have a really long corridor that runs from over around Wesley Chapel and then around through Tampa and then comes around through Zephyr Hills and then all the way up into the Green Swamp area and then moves way up towards North Florida. So I think there's a really big area there that they can use that they don't really migrate. I think they stay around in the certain areas because being a tracker and being around finding the footprints so much that I do, I'm finding that they're staying in certain areas, and I find that they're traveling. They'll travel these areas where it kind of converges down to a small, what I call a funnel. They'll cross a road at a river, and then it kind of funnels. It kind of goes back out and goes wider. And I think they travel a little bit along those areas like that funnel in. They'll travel along the river and across the roads at places like that.
That's a common denominator, isn't it, Larry?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, definitely. Do you find in your swampy areas, are there isolated islands in the swamps that you're able to get to by boat or anything? Do you find sign on them, or have you looked into that at all?
There are. I don't get to many of them, but I know there are places like that in the swamps. There is higher ground up in areas like that. Yeah. A lot of times, like right now, where it's really wet out there, but there are a few higher areas like that. And I think they'll stay up in the higher areas a little bit too. And I know that some of the animals do as well.
Yeah.
But also they're used to being like walking the trails and stuff through the swamps, just like the animals are. You'll find a lot of the deer and the wild hogs. They'll, even once it's wet out there, there's water. It's ankle deep water a lot of times. Sometimes it's knee deep water, but they'll still travel through there. They know it just like a road. Just like if the roads that around your house got flooded, you know how deep it is and you know where to walk. And I think they still use them even though it's wet and underwater.
Do you think that they avoid the dangers of the swamp? Do you think they're immune to snake bite? Do you think that the alligators avoid them?
I would think the alligators and the snakes probably avoid them. I think that's probably part of their food source would be alligators, snakes, some of the small animals, raccoons, possums, squirrels, a lot of stuff like that. I think would be their food sources. So I think that they're so used to the areas and living in there that they would probably know the snake was there or the alligator was there before it could even get close to them.
That's interesting.
Yep.
Shark in Charleston, you are asking some great questions tonight.
Yeah, that's a really good question there.
First time that we've seen you in chat, and we just want to thank you for coming in here and asking these great questions. But Sharkin asked, what do you look for on satellite imagery to narrow down your foot search?
Yep. I use Google a lot. I'll use Google Satellite. I use it for fishing too, to find fishing spots, because we do a lot of fishing from the shore, from the bank, or from bridges, and I use that a lot too for fishing. I can find spots that we can go to, won't be nobody around. We'll get in there and we'll catch all kinds of fish. So I've been using that too, as far as finding some of the swamps where the rivers are running around the swamps, and the cypress heads, areas that funnel down. Watch for areas that funnel down where there's a river and a cypress swamp going through, and you'll find little areas that get real narrow. The cypress swamps will get real narrow, and that's real good areas to look for on the Google Maps on the satellite.
That's kind of what we do, isn't it, Larry?
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
We incorporate a lot of common sense hunting techniques to Bigfoot.
Yeah.
For funnel areas and all that.
Yeah. That's good to use too out there. Because I always carry a compass. I always got my phone on me, and you can go to Google Maps and go to the satellite view, and you can see where you're actually at, the swamps, the trails, railroad tracks, whatever's around you, the river. You can use that too to navigate. Yep.
Yeah. Do y'all happen to plot where you find tracks or structures or any of that as you're going, and then maybe you search an area 2 miles away later and you've got those spots plotted, do y'all plot those and kind of look at an overall map of it?
I don't really like write it out and plot it on paper. I remember areas like that in my head. I just kind of remember them. I do use maps. Sometimes I'll write down on a map the same thing I did when I was hunting. I would write on a map certain areas, mark certain areas on there, and write down something, a note or something. But that's about all I do. Yeah.
Now, Waynette, Tim alluded to a little while ago about some of the equipment he uses, such as an audio recorder and camcorder. Tell us what tools of the trade that y'all take out with y'all in the field to help capture and document evidence that y'all find.
Well, he's pretty much the expert in that field, but he's got the GoPro on his chest. He's got his camcorder and his phone. He uses those three things. And if I miss anything, Tim, you can throw it in there. But
audio recorder.
Audio recorder. Yes. He takes all four of those things out there when we go to record or see anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I carry audio recorder on my backpack strap, and a lot of times I'm filming with all three cameras at the same time.
When we're leaving a place, he'll put his camera up and film as we're leaving to film in the back of us too. And he has gotten stuff on there from doing that, like watching us go out.
Do y'all ever deploy audio recorders and leave them for a few days, a week, and go back and get them?
Yes, cams, audio recorders.
Yeah, I got 2 audio recorders that I'll keep swapping them out. I'll leave them out there. They'll actually run for like 36 hours straight. So I'll set them out, let them run for 36 hours straight. But I'll go back like a week later, 2 weeks later, and swap them out and put another one out, and then bring the one home and listen to it.
Yeah.
Mark's got some information for you to get more hours out of that.
I was about to tell Larry that, but I knew that was coming. Well, before we get into that, Tim, tell us what kind of audio recorder you have.
Oh, it's just a $40 audio recorder. It's called an Allsworth. Yeah, it's nothing expensive. It's like $40. And that way I got 3 of them now because I keep one on my backpack. And then I got 2 that I'll swap out back and forth when we're out going out and putting them out. So it's called an Allsworth is what it is.
Okay. Are you able to put an SD card in it?
Yes, it has a 32 gigabyte memory card. Yeah.
Okay. What Larry was wanting to pick on me about is I have learned that if you put lithium batteries in them, then you can get more time in them, which, it doesn't matter if you're just recording on a day hike, but if you leave something out, I was able to go from like being able to record for 48 hours up to like 125 hours.
Oh, that's nice.
And by just using lithium batteries. And of course, the ambient weather has a lot to play with. If it's really cold, we've learned, which y'all don't have, but we've learned how to wrap the recorder to help insulate it so that below freezing weather it has a slower effect on draining the batteries. And the same thing could be if it gets really hot, you wouldn't want your recorder to be getting hot. And we thank you, David, for showing us some love. tell us the difference. And I want you to go into depth on this, because people that are interested in tracking, one of the best way to get experience and knowledge is what I call dirt time.
Yeah.
And to actually be out there with your focus on tracking. But what is the difference in between tracking and trailing?
Yeah, being out there, the more you're out there, the more you're going to learn. And to me, the difference between tracking, I can go out and search around the swamps. I can find footprints. I can find where they're at, where they're staying at all the time. Just like with animals, you can tell where animals are moving through, where they're feeding, where they're bedding down. The tracking to me is learning that the animals are staying in the certain areas, or like the skunk apes or Sasquatch, they're staying in certain areas where I'm not actually like trailing them. I'm not trailing them for a mile or so. But to me, that's the trailing. Trailing is where you can go out. There's areas like over towards Citrus County, a little bit north of us, where you could actually trail them, because you got more pines. You got pines and oaks, and you got hilly areas. You got a lot of trails that just run for miles. You could actually trail something that way, following the tracks, all the different signs. You could actually trail it for a long ways. To me, it's kind of like having a hound trailing something. When you hear of a hound trailing something, it'll trail it. It'll follow the scent, and it can run it for miles and miles. To me, that's trailing. Or tracking, you're actually looking around certain areas and you're finding the footprints over and over, and maybe finding trackways. I find trackways a lot. I'll find 4, 5, 6 footprints, and I can follow through and keep finding more signs where they're breaking branches, they're stepping on grass and breaking the grass, pushing it down, stuff like that. But to me, the trailing is like following it for long distances.
That's interesting. We're getting some questions coming in, and I will direct this to Waynette. Sharkin asks, have you ever had any brown drawers moments on any of your hikes?
If I think I know what that means, no.
That was a good quick answer.
Not literally, but
not yet.
Well, I have them occasionally. It ain't because of a scary.
It's because of that sausage I fed him.
Yeah. So what is the scariest encounter y'all have had?
Well, me, okay, I'll answer that first. Well, I guess you would call it scary. When I was telling y'all about when I saw the rib cage that I thought was a dead palm frond, and it turned out to be the deer carcass. Mm-hmm. This is the first and only time this has ever happened to me. When we were standing there looking at that I just had a feeling come over me that people talk about, that we needed to get out of there. I just like something was watching us probably. And I didn't say nothing, I'm just like, ooh, I just got goosebumps. And we were heading out at that point when we saw the carcass. So as we walked out, as we were walking out, that feeling went away and I was good. So that would be one of my scariest moments, I would say.
What about you, Tim?
Mine was would have been back in the 90s when I was hunting. I was actually hunting back then, and it was it was after I heard that growl that time. That sounded like a tiger growling, but it was in the same area. I was hunting in the same area, but just a different location in that wildlife management area. But mine was back then when you didn't never hear nothing about Bigfoot or didn't know nothing about them. And I had already been in the military and been out of the military, and I had been doing a lot of wild hog hunting at night. Well, we were on this hunt, and we were in there in the evening hunting, and it was a couple hours. I'd say it was like maybe an hour before dark. And I started getting this panicky feeling that I needed to leave and get out of there. And I just kept thinking to myself, this is not right. I shouldn't be feeling like this. I'm out here all the time hunting at night. I shouldn't be feeling like I got to leave right now. I shouldn't be feeling panicky. That was the only time I've ever felt that. And I'm pretty sure I was being hit with that infrasound right then.
Yeah.
I had had my younger brother was there out there with me hunting, I think, at that time. And maybe I think I had another friend out there too. And we had a couple dogs out there hunting. It was just hitting me and making me feel panicky feeling. And I knew it wasn't right. Because I wasn't scared of anything out there, and I wasn't scared of being out there in the dark by myself hunting, and it was like a panicky feeling that was hitting me.
Yeah. We want to thank the Blaylacks and Dooley Steele for showing us some love. And I'm not sure what Pappy means by this, but I'll just read it and see if it hits a vein. Do you think boogers have ever messed with your videos?
I don't think they have with actually my camcorder video or my phone, but I think they have with the game cameras. There's something going on with the game cameras when we're putting apples and candy bars out in front of them, and then we're coming back. When I'm bringing the memory cards back, you can see me on the game camera walking out there, setting out the apples. Sometimes you might see deer walking around a couple of days. The apples are still there. Then all of a sudden, the next video, the apples are all gone. Candy bar's gone. There's missing video. So I think it's something to do with either their energy. They're using a type of energy, and it's blocking the camera from working while they're taking stuff. Or either they're just moving so fast that they can run through there so fast and take stuff. It's not triggering the cameras. But I think they mess with the game cameras. And it's not just mine. I hear a lot of stories from people like that messes with their game cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Larry, I'm going to let you read this one.
Right now?
Right now.
I'm going to thank Jimbo for his donation too.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Jimbo.
I didn't want you to miss that. Canned Squatch asks, Tim, have you ever researched in Mayaca State Park?
No, I haven't been there yet. We're probably going to go soon. We're probably going to go here before long. My friend Bigfoot Dave, he goes out with us a lot. He's been there a few times. They've actually found trackways there. They've casted some footprints. They've had rocks thrown at them there.
Yeah.
I know Mark Zasky goes in there a lot and films a lot of stuff in there. Yeah, but I haven't been there yet myself. But I will be before long. That's within a day of us. We can drive down there in a day and research and then come back at night. It's within a day to do that. Yeah. I
know Stacy Brown Jr. goes down there. Him and Bill Brock have been probably 4 or 5 months ago, maybe a little longer. But there was a pretty cool video shot there, father and a son that saw one crossing the open field just on the opposite side of a canal or something.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably 3 or 4 years ago, and I think Stacy went in there investigating that area after that video was put up.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as I know, it's never been debunked or anything.
Okay, our friend Jen asked, are y'all catching EVPs on both voice recorder and videos, or just one of them?
I'm not really getting the EVPs. I guess you actually have to have a certain device to catch the EVPs. I'm getting a lot of stuff on audio recorder, and then I'm getting stuff too on audio and the videos. I'm getting knocks, I'm getting whistles on the audio and the audio recorder and the cameras. And some of the audio recorders that I've been leaving out and then going back and getting a week later or 2 weeks later, I've got howls on them. I've got some type of language on them. It sounds like the Klingons. It sounds like the Klingons from Star Trek that they're talking.
Yep. That's what it sounds like.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. But
Okay.
That's mainly what I'm getting.
Chris has a great question.
Yep.
He asks, Tim, have you ever had a trackway just stop in the open? Like they just disappeared?
Well, I've had them stop, but to me, it's like when it gets up close to a log or a down tree. Mainly is because the areas I'm in, you're not just like following them out in the open or all sand or something like that. So usually when I'm finding them stopping or finding the last track, it's usually around some down trees, and I think they're using those trees also to move. I think they're going up on them and traveling along the down trees or the logs. And also, I think they use the trees. I think they can reach up and grab the trees and lift themselves up too, and not leave as many footprints too. I believe that as well.
All right, Larry, if you got a question, go ahead and ask it. I'm just trying to go back and see if I've missed any.
Well, I'm sure you have, but that's the picture of the print with the dog tracks beside it. Do y'all ever see any evidence of dog man? Do y'all believe in dog man? The prints beside that, the canine prints besides the Bigfoot print just made me think about that.
Yeah, some of those.
I'm on the fence about dog man. So go ahead. Go ahead.
Some of those prints right there were on coyote tracks, and some were dog tracks.
Yeah.
There were both through there. That's an area that people can hike, and they can walk the dogs out there. So some of those are actually dog tracks, and some were coyote tracks. I've only just now recently seen what looks to me like a dog man on video, but it's not through none of my stuff. It's through my friend Mike Aguilera. He's sending me videos sometimes, and I'll look at them. I'll slow them down for him so he can see the stuff that's in them. And I saw one in there the other day that looked like a dog man. But other than that, the rest of them all to me have looked human. They look like a type of human.
Yeah. Is there any other type of cryptid or anything that y'all have come across while looking for Bigfoot?
Yeah, some of them to me look too human to be Sasquatch or skunk ape. To me, it looks like there's something paranormal going on, something from another dimension or something paranormal, like a parallel time dimension or something, or something paranormal or something energy or something from the past, where you're seeing a face that looks too human. It looks just like us basically, but maybe shaded green or shaded real gray. And I don't think that's Sasquatch or so, but I've seen stuff like that, and I have a couple times seen what looks kind of maybe like a teddy bear is the only way I could describe it.
Huh.
Something like a teddy bear looking. And watching it, looking at it good, it doesn't look like pareidolia to me. And I see pareidolia. I see pareidolia a lot too. And I get sometimes where I'll catch myself and I'll say, okay, that's pareidolia right there.
Yeah.
But there's times too where I'm watching and looking at stuff and I can see it moving. I'm seeing it in different places as it's following us. And I know it's not pareidolia. Yeah.
The teddy bear looking one, did it look like an Ewok from Star Wars?
No, not an Ewok. No, it just looks like a teddy bear. Yeah.
I was only asking because I can remember somebody saying they saw something that looked like an Ewok.
Yeah.
So
Okay, Sharkin has another great question. Have you ever smelled them, and do you think it's musk they spray, or is it just constant stank?
It's a good question.
Yeah. I don't know if Waynette's ever smelled them or not. I know she's real good at smelling stuff, a lot better than I am. And I'll ask her a lot of times, do you smell anything? Do you sense anything?
I've never really smelled anything like out of the ordinary as far as the smell that people talk about. I've never smelt that. Like just a raunchy smell. Me personally, I've never smelt that. So
Yeah.
and he doesn't smell as good as I do. So.
But I have smelled them. There's been a couple of times where I have smelled them though. There was one time last year when I was out by myself, and I went through this one area and I found hairs and took hairs off of a fence. And then I went on deeper in and I found footprints. And when I came back out and got close to the area where I had found the hairs, I started smelling one. It was kind of like a stink, and I don't think they smell like that all the time. I think it was letting out like a musk odor, but I could smell it like it was close to me, watching me.
Like it could have been like a scent gland or something.
Yeah, like a scent gland. Yeah. Yep. And then there's been another time here recently too where I smelled one. And another member of our group, they also smelled it at the same time, and it smelled kind of like a wet dog, kind of a wet dog smell. And I think the same thing there. That it was probably just a musk glint sand type thing. Yeah.
Okay, Ramel asked, and I don't know if this really would pertain to y'all's areas of research, but do you think they go into caves? Are there any in the area or within a few miles from there that you could investigate?
There's none in our area here in Central Florida. There's no caves around here. There's some a couple hours away up towards Citrus County. There's some caves up that way. And we've actually got some family members have been wanting us to go up there and go in the caves up there with them and do a day hike up there. So we may do that here soon.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no caves around here anywhere around Central Florida. It's just too wet and it would be filled with water.
Yeah.
But I think they do use caves. And I know Bigfoot Anon is on here. He just recently he's up in North Florida, up in the Panhandle. He recently found a cave and I was in there investigating and found a footprint. And then he messaged me and asked me what to get to make a cast of it. So he went back the next day and casted it. So I do believe they use caves too. Yeah. He also had something else going on in there too. He was filming himself in there talking about the footprint and casting it, and he has some kind of interference going on with his phone while he was trying to video. But I do believe they use caves like that when there's an area where there are caves. Yeah.
Larry, I cannot believe how fast this time has gone by. Larry, have you got any questions that you would like to ask?
I think I will have 40 after we go off the air.
Yeah. Well, Waynette, I would like to ask for you to give us any final comments, thoughts, things that you look forward to doing in your research, and just give us your final thoughts.
Well, I love to get out in nature, so I'm just looking forward to continue doing our research. We're talking about going out on an outing soon. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go or not for like a week. You're talking like camping out and stuff, but I'm just like in it for the long haul. I just want to keep doing the research me and Tim and our friends that go with us or whatever. I'm just looking forward to just keep on keeping on and see what we come up with. I love it.
She was talking about the 168 hours coming up in November is what she was talking about. Yeah, because I got picked to go help with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe you're going to be on Chris Reinhardt's team.
Reinhardt's team. Yeah.
Yeah. Tim, why don't you give us your final thoughts?
My final thoughts. I would say that tracking is a big part of finding where they're at. It's a big part of nature. It's a big part of being aware of your surroundings. The more you can learn about it, the more you'll pick up on finding the areas to stay in. I think that's also think tracking and it helps with the details as far as like seeing the snakes, stuff like that. It keeps you more aware, so you kind of help keep you safe, keep your group safe too. With some of the people in the group, I really like learning from everybody. Everybody that's in our group's got different talents and stuff and different perspectives, so you learn from each other. I really think working together is the best thing to do here, and not just try to be out on your own and research on your own and trying to keep your stuff secret from everybody else. I think there's so much going on here that everybody needs to work together.
Well, I think that's great advice, and that's really our purpose with doing these podcasts is to get researchers to come on that they may say something about what they do and how they do it, that it might help somebody else out there, that they can tweak that into their strategy and tactics. And just like what you talked about with tracking and the things that you can learn from tracking and how to go outside of the Bigfoot realm and look for where you can actually educate yourself and then get into the field and get you some dirt time.
Yeah.
Larry, do you have any final thoughts?
Well, Tim and Waynette have been great guests. I've enjoyed listening to their expertise in the field, their experiences. I know y'all are surrounded by some good people, and I know they talk highly of y'all too. And I know some good things are going to come out of Florida because of what y'all are doing. And I want to wish y'all good luck with y'all's endeavors.
Yep. Thank you. Yep. We sure enjoyed being on here.
Yes. Thank you for having us. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Larry. Thank you, Mark.
Well, we thank y'all and we appreciate y'all and what y'all are doing out there in the field. And if you want to learn more about Tim and Waynette and what they're doing out there, then tomorrow morning I'm going to post at the top of the comment section their YouTube channel. So make sure that you go there and you subscribe. And I just wanted to say that Bradley Hatcher called me yesterday and asked me to co-host with him on Bigfoot Odyssey on the Late Show tomorrow night.
Are you gonna wear a pink shirt?
Yeah. And it's going to be hard to send him those texts I send him while he's on the air, if I'm on the air with him. But I always look forward to doing a show with Bradley. He's such a good friend and such a great guy. What you see on when he's hosting on there, that's who he is in real life. So I'm pretty excited about doing that tomorrow. And trying to think if there's anything else. But we want to thank everybody that showed us love tonight. It means more than you know. And it helps us.
Yes.
But with that said, I guess we will see y'all again. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Okay.
Night, night, footers.
Good night, everybody.
Everybody.
Thank y'all. Thank you.
Beast TV would like to welcome all of our new Facebook members. Be sure to check out our pictures and videos of possible evidence. And if you haven't checked out the Files tab, there is a wealth of information that you may find beneficial. If you would like to support Beast TV, check out our gear. We have coffee mugs, face masks, Gators, shirts, and tank tops. The link is pinned at the top of the comment section. Everything is always marked down 20%, so come check out our junk. We want to thank all of our new subscribers and our faithful followers. Also, be sure to check out our field evidence videos and our sister channel, Beast of the Woods. That's Larry's channel. If you want to help us out, make sure that you are subscribed. Click the thumbs up button, ring the bell, and leave us a comment. We would love to hear from you. Thanks again to each of you for watching, and we will see you again. Same bat time, same bat channel. Night, night, footers.
This has been a Sawdust production.